Anna Grace Taylor wrote, "Love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious and you get to decide how to use them. You teach people how to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept." From the wellness perspective, boundaries are a set of limits and guidelines that you make for yourself in order to protect your sense of well-being. Boundaries are crucial in maintaining a healthy and balanced relationship with those in your life and those around you. When you have healthy boundaries, you get a clear sense of who you are, what you want, and your value and belief system. You get a sense of identity. And with everything that is going on around you in your everyday life, when you've got healthy boundaries, you're able to focus the energy back to yourself and on your well-being. But setting boundaries can be the most difficult challenge that we experience, especially when we have this need to feel loved, appreciated, respected, and even accepted by those around us. And this need can end up controlling who we allow in our lives and how we allow ourselves to be treated. We may end up taking on too many responsibilities, even other people's responsibilities, in order to show people that we are valuable. But we end up not having enough time to prioritize ourselves and make sure that we are also well taken care of. In this video, let us explore why we find it difficult to set up healthy boundaries for ourselves and what this does to us and our relationships, and the steps that we can take in order to create healthy boundaries for ourselves while also respecting other people's boundaries. All right, let's take a deep breath and let's dive in. So why do we find it difficult to establish boundaries? Let's take it back to our childhood. Wait, just be patient with me. Let's just go back to our childhood. Our childhood experiences, they shape how we understand boundaries. If we grew up with overly controlling parents or even neglectful parents, or in an environment where kids were expected to just obey without any question, or in a family where being good and respectful meant not being difficult or being outspoken, then we never learned to identify our needs, our desires, or our limits, and how to effectively communicate them with other people in our lives. Because we're always afraid of being rejected. We're afraid of the backlash that will come as a consequence of us standing up for ourselves, and also the disapproval looks that we get from our family members and our loved ones. Therefore, we didn't feel like we were worthy of having our needs or even setting any boundaries for ourselves. On top of that, if our parents or even our caretakers, they struggled with boundaries themselves. For example, they always prioritize the needs of other people over their own family and their own well-being, then we end up adopting that, because we end up thinking that in order to feel valuable, we have to sacrifice ourselves for other people. And if we have our own needs and we put our own boundaries down, then we be considered to be selfish and to be egotistical. All of these, they follow us well into our adulthood, and they become more evident when we are in an environment where the relationship dynamic does not favor us, where we feel powerless or voiceless, especially when there's an authoritative figure in our presence. What we end up doing is overcompensating by taking on more responsibilities or going well beyond our duties in order to prove to people that we are good team players, we are good friends, or we're good partners, that we are reliable, valuable, and indisposable. We are people that everyone can turn to. So what happens to us and our relationships when we don't establish boundaries? Our blood boundaries become enmeshed, meaning that it makes it difficult for us to distinguish between our own thoughts, feelings, and needs from others. We start living according to other people's expectations and perception of us instead of showing up authentically. This means that we are unable to grow and develop into our own person. Because we often struggle to say no to requests, we also fail to put time aside to tend to our well-being. This means that we are always susceptible to feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and ultimately suffering from burnout. In turn, we become susceptible to health issues such as depression, anxiety, and cardiovascular problems. Because we are constantly sacrificing, it can lead us to feel like we are either martyrs or victims. A martyr in this instance is someone who's continuously sacrificed for the better of the whole group, whether it is in a company or in a relationship or in a friendship. And they usually take pride in suffering because it makes them feel like they are worthy. On the other hand, a victim is someone who feels like they're sacrificing, but they need to be compensated for that sacrifice. And when it doesn't happen, they feel like they have been taken advantage of. But ultimately, when things don't go as we expect them to go, it can lead us to feel resentful towards other people, especially those people that express their boundaries to us. This can lead us to have conflicts and strained relationships with other people. On the other hand, we often attract people who like to take advantage of our kindness, generosity, and who want to profit off our own hard work. This can lead us to become trapped in a toxic relationship where we feel like we have to work hard to prove to the other person that we are worthy, and that person doesn't appreciate us, and we try even more to show them that we are worthy. So it becomes this whole big cycle that we get trapped into. So how do we set healthy boundaries for ourselves? The first step is to identify what your needs, your desires, your goals, your values, and your beliefs are. You need to sit down in a quiet place and write them down. And the second step is to identify what your limits are, what you are comfortable with, and what you are not comfortable with. So the third step is to practice self-awareness. Instead of suppressing, as we often do, we need to understand our thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations when someone tries to override our boundaries or tries to overstep them. The fourth step is to communicate assertively. Assertively does not mean being rude, being disrespectful, or being unkind. Rather, use I statements to communicate your needs and your feelings while being respectful. Number 5, set small boundaries first. Start off by setting small boundaries. Begin with the low-stakes situations and work yourself up to the more challenging ones. Step number 6, prepare for pushback. Anticipate that other people may resist or react negatively to your new boundaries. especially people who are not happy with change, and especially when this change inconveniences them. But stay calm, firm, and assertive. Remember, setting boundaries is to protect your time, your energy, and your sense of well-being. Step number 7. Remember, setting boundaries is an act of self-love and self-respect. Make time to engage in activities that nourish your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul. Step number 8, and the final step. Celebrate small victories. Acknowledge and celebrate each time you successfully establish boundaries. This will give you the motivation to continue doing what you're doing. Setting boundaries is not easy, but it's not impossible. Overcoming the fear of setting boundaries takes time and patience. By recognizing the root of our boundary issues, we are able to make changes. Remember, setting boundaries is not selfish, it's necessary. So be compassionate with yourself and work towards your goal. You deserve to prioritize your own needs and well-being. Thank you for watching, and until the next video, remember to be kind to yourself and especially to others. Bye.